Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm back. The composer with the decomposer kind of attitude here, because I'm an old guy. I decompose. Anyhow, this is not going to be a typical Reacts video from me. This is going to be a react to a review of a classic for me that I believe, at least in my world, was one of the most influential tracks in playing with polyrhythms here. And this comes to us from the insanely epic band Yes. By the time they released 9125, though, they'd already been in the rinse cycle of the music industry for close to 20 years, so they have an absolute legacy already of music. And this particular project, though, was really groundbreaking for them because from this album came a across-the-board hit called Owner of a Lonely Heart. And in that song, they used some samples for the at least not necessarily the very first time ever in the music industry, but at least in my realm of listening. And they opened that up with samples from a Fairlight. And then, the song was a huge hit, which I believe brought a new set of ears and a new audience to Yes, and also a whole new round of influences, I'm guessing. Anyhow, so we're going to get on this. But I believe that all the musicians, most of the musicians of the bands that I've been reacting to that are my age, a little younger, we all grab our influences from somewhere. I'm going to hedge a bet that most all of them have heard of the band Yes, and most all of them are aware of this song. For you and I, though, we're going to have a little fun. It's not going to be your typical reaction, so hang in there. So this is Yes, 9125. The song is called Changes. So let me get ready. Once again, I always do this when people ask me about my headsets, AKG 240s. There's a link below that if you want to take a look at them, they're there. All right, let's do this. All right. Okay. How was that for a ride of about, what was that, about like a minute and 25 of all of that? That was an extremely powerful influence to my polyrhythmic writing. You know, there was the song from Rush, what was that, YZZY? Of course, that was an epic expression of rhythms and meters and all kinds of incredible playing. It's like one of my warm-up drum songs was to learn that song when I played back in the day. And I'm also influenced actually by Narrow to Michael Walden, the Jeff Beck Wired album, and other things when it comes to it. But this hit a particular ball of energy for me because of I was already into engineering. As a matter of fact, this song was brought to me when I was setting up a session at a studio in Burbank called Studio Sound back in the 80s, run by the notorious producer George Tobin. And I was setting up a session, and Alan Hirschberg, who was the other engineer, the house engineer, runs in and he goes, "Oh, Jeeves, you got to listen to this." So he drops in the CD, and of course, Owner of a Lonely Heart plays. Well, he splits. I just let the CD play at the time, the cassette tape, play at the time, and And then it went through, and then I heard changes, and I stopped what I was doing and listened to this track with just complete awe of what was going on. So let's start from the beginning of that. Do you know what the meter is? Have you figured out the meters? Remember, this is going to be a geeky act reaction. This isn't, you know, and I'm also not going to go into theory. I'm not going to go into things, but take a guess in the meter. I actually put the meter thought down in my description, but what I want to bring to your attention is not only the amazing arrangements that they did, but the engineering techniques. I'm going to go back into the engineering a lot when I do my reactions because it's so important. So he opens up with that arrangement with the it could be marimba and then doubled with wood marimba, left and right, possible. Very dry sound, very clean and crispy dry sound. As that starts to move forward, excuse me, and other instruments are being brought in, I want you to go back and listen to it and notice how they start to bring up kind of a slap delay that is actually set in time. So in other words, it bounces and it slap delays in the tempo of the track, which adds another element to the polyrhythmic arrangement that's already being played there. The guitar player, they are doing 2 tracks, they're doubling. Octave. You know, I don't have to say anything about musicianship. I'm not here from that. We already know who they are. We already know what level of musicianship they are, the Third Eye Purple level. And so I'm not going to go at that, go to there. But then when the arrangements were starting to come in, the guitars came in, the drum came in, the bass coming in, and listening to that come into pass, and then bringing you to this huge, like at the very top of the roller coaster, and right before you go down, they stop for a second. Guitar player does that harmonic, you know, left-right split, main line harmony on this side, and gets you right back into it. Now, to me, here was the throw-off magic for me. When the drums came in back into that second round, and it seemed like it was going to square off into the song, in the background, there's something that's happening there that feels a little herky, jerky. I'm like, where? When I first heard this, what is that? And then when it breaks into the 4/4 and the song starts going, you're going to hear a pattern that the guitar player is playing, which is actually in I think it's in the 8th notes and it's squared off. But that 4/4 section, they started earlier. So it's one of those sections that kind of loops back into the meter at very odd times, and it's squared off right on the downbeat of when the song really started to get going. And to me, when I heard this and I was dissecting this when I was younger, I was going, this is brilliant, this is amazing. And then the more, now that I'm doing reaction to these videos, realizing that some of these musicians are of my age, it's very possible that the influences, because nobody's really ripping anybody off, nobody's, you know, but I've said this before, you can see further when you stand on the shoulders of giants. If you take a piece of this and this and it influences your body of work, I would love to have a second and ask, you know, the drummer of Tool, Danny, you know, or the other musicians, as a matter of fact, even Maynard, had, you know, how much of Yes' influence was actually part of it. And I actually mentioned that. The reason why I'm doing this is because I mentioned this in my last reaction of Rosetta Stone, I believe. So now we're just going to listen to the song. I think I might stop once, but just to enjoy it, I'm going to go back a little bit, and let's just listen to the song all the way through. It's a great song. There's no herky-jerky meter changes going on through this section, but I want to give it the respect it deserves. So let's go.
Something you did touch me. There's no one else to blame. The love we had
Okay, so I lied. I wanted to stop and point something out. You know, part of arranging songs. How do I say this? The engineering is such an important detail in the story of a song, in the dynamics of a song, beyond compressing this and left and right and so on and so forth. I already mentioned earlier how in that opening it seemed like they faded up this slap echo in a timed way in order to play more chaos in the rhythm. Now, here's something else that I just love and I want to just bring to your attention. When he's singing his verse, it's very swimmy and ambient and long kind of hall chamber kind of reverbs. And the drums during that have a little bit of that, you know, they probably send it up or, put a little bit of that in there. But then when the hook came in, the drums dry up completely, maybe with a little bit of a light plate or maybe a little bit of a room ambience out. But the drums dry up in the reverb and are very punchy and in your face. And still the singing in the chorus goes on, and there is that kind of dichotomy in the sound where you've got this nice punchiness in that hook, but yet the singing and the other arrangements and stuff going in the back have these long tail reverbs and stuff. Goes back into that next verse, and then you can hear once again, the drums have been kind of rejuiced slightly with the reverb and stuff. So this back and forth is so paramount in the end experience for the song for the end user. Without knowing all this stuff is part of the journey of just the person who can close the eyes, listen to the music, not know what's going on, and go on an extreme journey. And so engineering, once again, so important in my world. All right, here we go again. Let's see what we got here. Let me go back.
In love that wasn't there. Changing places. Put yourself to the ground. Word to the wise, well you get what's coming. One word can bring you round. Changes. But when I look into your eyes and try to find out how, there's no way to save it now. And everything I feel changes. Keep looking for changes. Changes. For some reason you're questioning why. I always believed it gets better. One difference between you and I, your heart is inside your head. One word from you, one word from me. A clear design on your liberty. Who could believe when love is gone? How we move on like everyone. Only such fools, only such jealous hearts. Only through love changes come. Changing places.
Okay, just another short stop here. Once again, part of the journey. Going in with the drums and the hook and bringing you here and then kind of chilling you out here and kind of resetting you a little bit and then bringing you up and bringing you... Right?
Jealous hearts. Only through love changes come. Changing places. Root yourself to the ground. Capitalize on this good fortune. One word can bring you round. Changes. One road to loneliness. It's always the same. One road to happiness.
my gosh, what a ride. Memory Lane is part of my my life soundtrack, you know, and I listen to this, I go right back into that studio, I go right back into it, and that's why music is so powerful. So yeah, this was just kind of like, you know, this wasn't a reaction. I knew the song, but it was a different way now of listening to it for the purpose of me doing what I've been doing here on YouTube. If you're still here, thanks for hanging out. If you're relatively new to Yes, because I just brought it in there, there's the link down there to all Yes music and stuff like that. You know, check it out. And if you're really interested in one of my favorite songs, is probably one of their most chill tracks, which was Aim High, Shoot Low off of the Big Generator album. Look that one up. That is just kind of like a pull whatever you want and let that thing go, because that's just like, meow. Anyhow, okay. I digress. Thank you guys very much and for hanging out. If you're still here, all right. Aloha.